Is your wealth really safe? The hidden truth behind the illusion of prosperity? The safety of your wealth isn't about smart locks or luxury cars parked in your garage. The real danger is invisible. It's the gnawing fear of falling down the social ladder that keeps you awake at night. If you don't understand this truth today, by 2026, you may find yourself with nowhere to turn. On your bright screen, news anchors in sharp suits smile professionally, their voices smooth and reassuring. They tell you the Dow Jones has hit a new record high, GDP is growing at a comforting pace, unemployment is perfectly under control, and everything is moving in the right direction. But step outside that screen, and reality feels very different. When you walk into a grocery store and pick up a simple steak only to stare at the price tag, when you stand at a gas pump watching the numbers climb like a runaway train, or when you write a check for your child's college tuition, realizing it will drain half your life savings, your stomach drops with a physical sense of dread. Why do you earn more dollars, see bigger numbers on your paycheck, yet feel poorer than ever? Why has your house doubled in value on paper, but you can't afford to move because new mortgage rates are out of reach? Why do the rich seem to ride an invisible rocket-powered elevator to the sky while you're stuck in a swamp, sinking deeper with every struggle? Here's a chilling truth that Wall Street will never admit on CNBC, and the White House press secretary will never acknowledge. This isn't an accident. It's not a temporary economic blip. It's a meticulously engineered system. You haven't done anything wrong. You've simply been deceived. We cling to the myth of exceptionalism, the belief that the US dollar is invincible, that US Treasury bonds are the world's only risk-free asset, and that the Federal Reserve has the magic touch. But math doesn't care about your beliefs. Math is apolitical. Math is ruthless. As of the end of 2025, let's look at America's balance sheet. Our national debt has ballooned to a staggering number, a behemoth of threes and endless zeros. But that's not the worst part. The real problem isn't the principal. It's the interest. Today, the US government spends more on interest payments than on defense, and it's nearly surpassing Social Security and Medicare. What does this mean? It means the world's most powerful military machine is borrowing money just to pay the interest on old debt. Not a single dollar is going toward building roads, improving education, or investing in the future. In finance, this has a precise name: a Ponzi scheme. When an entity must borrow new money just to pay the interest on existing debt, collapse is only a matter of time. It's like a family living in a mansion with luxury cars, but their monthly income can't even cover the minimum credit card payment. When a nation enters this debt-death spiral, history shows it has two choices. First, default. The government steps up and says, "Sorry, we can't pay, we're walking away." This would trigger a global financial meltdown, pensions wiped out, banks collapsing, society descending into chaos, and politicians being ousted by angry mobs. They'll never choose this. Second, print money. This is the only real option: flood the economy with trillions of newly created dollars, using devalued currency to pay off old debts. Guess which path they've taken? Look around. Since 2020, the money printer hasn't stopped. Even when the Fed pretended to raise rates and tighten policy, it was just a show to calm the markets. Because if they truly stopped printing money and let interest rates normalize, the entire debt pyramid would collapse instantly. The brutal conclusion is clear. Inflation isn't temporary. Inflation is the only solution to the debt crisis. The government is quietly eroding the value of your savings through inflation. It's a tax that doesn't require legislation, a theft that doesn't need your vote. When you have $100,000 in the bank and real inflation is 10%, the government is effectively stealing $10,000 of your purchasing power every year. This is why you feel the pain. You're the one paying for the national debt. You're the exit liquidity in this massive Ponzi scheme. You might argue, if so much money has been printed, why hasn't my salary doubled? Why are only prices rising? This is the most insidious part of the scam, known in economics as the Cantillon effect. Imagine the Fed pouring a bucket of red ink, newly printed money, into a swimming pool representing the economy. The ink doesn't spread evenly right away. Those closest to the source, Wall Street banks, hedge fund managers, billionaires, and tech giants with access to near zero-cost loans, get the money first. When they receive this cheap, newly created cash, prices haven't risen yet. A hamburger still costs the same. They use this money to buy stocks, real estate, art, yachts, and Bitcoin. Asset prices soar. But you're far from the source. You're in the real economy, a nurse, teacher, engineer, or small business owner. By the time the money reaches your paycheck, it's been passed through countless hands, diluted, and now the entire pool is red. Bread prices have doubled, gas is sky high, and homes are unaffordable. You're getting devalued money and facing inflated prices. This is why we've seen a bizarre K-shaped recovery in 2024 and 2025, a precise form of class stratification engineered by monetary policy. If you don't own assets, if you only hold cash from labor, you're at the bottom of the food chain. You're trading your most precious, non-renewable resource time for paper that others can print for free. This isn't just unfair, it's modern-day serfdom. I know some still cling to the fantasy, but it's the US dollar. It's the world's reserve currency, backed by aircraft carriers and nuclear weapons. It won't collapse. This arrogance is dangerous. If you study history, you'll find a startling pattern. From the Roman denarius to China's Song dynasty Jiaozi, from the French Revolution's assignats to Weimar Germany's mark, to Zimbabwe's dollar, every fiat currency in human history has met the same fate. Zero. Voltaire said centuries ago, paper money eventually returns to its intrinsic value zero. In 1971, when President Nixon severed the dollar's last link to gold, we entered an unprecedented global experiment, a pure fiat system. For over 50 years, it's been sustained by two pillars: America's military economic dominance and global faith in U.S. treasuries. But in 2025, both pillars are shaking. Look east to the global south. The BRICS nations are accelerating de-dollarization. This isn't just rhetoric. It's action backed by real money. Central banks are dumping U.S. treasuries at record rates and buying gold. Why? They see through the game. They don't want to be harvested like you. When Saudi Arabia stops pricing oil solely in dollars, when major energy exporters and manufacturing giants create their own payment systems, the dollar's privilege is fading fast. This means the trillions of exported dollars that once flowed overseas will boomerang back to the US, triggering unprecedented imported hyperinflation. In 2026, we may see this trend accelerate. This isn't necessarily the end of the world, but it is the end of the old world order. If you're betting your retirement entirely on the dollar hegemony myth, you're gambling with your future, and that's reckless. If the house is on fire, where's the exit? We need to redefine what money really is. True money must have one core attribute: scarcity. It can't be increased by politicians' whims or diluted by central bankers' speeches. Your future arc: gold and Bitcoin. First, gold. Many young Western investors, even Silicon Valley elites, dismiss gold as a baby boomer relic, a useless rock with no yield, no cash flow. This is a grave mistake, a symptom of Keynesian brainwashing. In this era of high debt, geopolitical turmoil, and eroding trust, gold isn't an investment. It's anti-fragile insurance. It's sovereignty. Remember this: gold is the only asset with no counterparty risk. What does that mean? If you own stocks, you trust management. If you own bonds, you trust the government won't default. If you have bank deposits, you trust the bank won't fail. But if you hold physical gold, you don't need to trust anyone. If the power grid fails, the internet crashes, banks collapse, or war breaks out, your gold coin is still gold. Its value doesn't depend on laws, promises, or electricity. Look at what central banks are doing, not what they're saying. They're hoarding gold at the fastest pace in decades. This isn't just hedging, it's preparation for a new monetary system. When the fiat system resets, gold will be the only bargaining chip on the table. Second, Bitcoin. If you're a digital native, you should understand Bitcoin's value better than anyone. Many obsess over its price, swings up 5% today, down 10% tomorrow. Friends, zoom out. Look at the logarithmic chart. Bitcoin is the first absolutely scarce digital commodity in human history. There will only ever be 21 million. No president, Fed chair, or global army can create even one more Bitcoin by pressing a button. In a world where fiat can be printed endlessly, Bitcoin is digital Manhattan land. Young people in the West are waking up. They realize the traditional path, work hard, save, buy a house, is broken. Home prices relative to income are absurdly high. Bitcoin is their only asymmetric bet, their escape pod from a rigged financial system. It's free money. It's unconfiscatable property. If you remember your seed phrase, you can carry billions across borders. No bank can freeze it. No government can censor it. In 2026, as CBDCs, central bank digital currencies, roll out as tools of digital surveillance, owning Bitcoin, an uncensorable asset, could be the line between freedom and servitude. This isn't just wealth, it's your basic human dignity. So, what's the action plan? I'm not your financial advisor, and I don't bear responsibility for your gains or losses. But I can share the barbell strategy favored by Nassim Taleb and many top macro investors. This may be the best and perhaps only solution for the chaos of 2026. The strategy is simple: extreme conservatism paired with extreme aggression. Abandon the mediocre middle. One end of the barbell is extreme conservatism, your shield. Put most of your wealth, say 70-80%, into things that won't go to zero, no matter what. Physical gold and silver? Note: physical, not paper gold or ETFs. In a financial tsunami, paper gold is just a potentially defaulted IOU. You need tangible metal, stored where you feel safe. Core real estate. Only if you've paid off the mortgage or locked in a low, long-term fixed rate. In inflationary times, rents rise with prices, offering protection. Avoid speculative properties in remote areas with no population growth. They're debt traps. Short-term treasuries or cash equivalents, not for yield, but for liquidity. When markets crash and assets are dumped indiscriminately, you'll need cash to buy distressed assets at fire sale prices. The other end is extreme aggression, your spear. Use the remaining portion, 20-30%, to chase exponential growth. In a world where fiat loses value so fast, linear growth is a slow death. Bitcoin is the ultimate put option on the fiat system. If fiat survives, Bitcoin may fluctuate. If fiat collapses, Bitcoin could become the new global reserve asset, delivering 100x returns. Top AI and tech monopolies. What can truly outpace inflation? Only productivity explosions. AI is humanity's only deflationary force. Companies holding the keys to AGI, artificial general intelligence, with the most computing power and data, will devour profits from the old economy. Become their shareholder, not their fuel. Most importantly, cut the middle. This is where most middle class, and it's the deadliest zone. Long-term bonds. In inflation, their return-free risk, guaranteed loss of purchasing power. Traditional 60/40 stock bond portfolios, they're obsolete. In a world of simultaneous stock and bond crashes, they're a fast track to poverty. Zombie company stocks reliant on cheap debt, they'll drown when rates stay high and refinancing becomes impossible. In this K-shaped world, you're either at the top with hard assets or at the cutting edge with disruptive tech. Staying in the middle, trying to maintain the status quo, will leave you crushed by history's wheels. Finally, let's talk about something more important than investing: your mental model. Many Westerners still have a big baby mindset. They blame the president for inflation, the Fed for market drops, hoping the next election will fix everything, waiting for a savior to rescue them. I must tell you bluntly, no one is coming to save you. No matter who sits in the Oval Office or controls Congress, the debt problem can't be solved by voting. Math doesn't care about politics. Compound interest doesn't show mercy. Governments prioritize people cling their own survival over your savings. In a crisis, they'll sacrifice your interests to save the system. In 2026, you need a sovereign individual mindset. This means taking 100% responsibility for your financial fate. It means no longer blindly trusting the banking system. You are your own bank. It means no longer believing mainstream media narratives. You have independent, critical thinking. When prices fluctuate, don't panic. If you hold real hard assets, price drops are just illusions measured in devalued fiat. An ounce of gold, is still an ounce of gold. A of Bitcoin is still a Bitcoin. The ruler has changed, not the asset. Don't waste time on cheap dopamine hits from TikTok or Netflix. Educate yourself on macroeconomics, study monetary history, learn Bitcoin's code, and follow geopolitical shifts. In this era of great plunder, knowledge is your only mo. Ignorance is the biggest tax, the fool's tax. 2026 won't be calm. We may see more bank failures, wilder money printing, extreme capital controls, even social unrest. It sounds terrifying, like the apocalypse, but I want you to see not fear, but opportunity. History shows that every collapse of an old order brings massive wealth transfers. In 1923, Weimar Germany, those with paper money starved, while those with gold bought entire streets. In 2008, those who trusted credit ratings went bankrupt, while those who understood subprime mortgages made generational fortunes. The word crisis in Chinese contains both danger and opportunity. Now, it's your turn. You have the map. You know where the storm is coming from. You know where the safe harbors are. We're more awake than 99% people. Be an observer of this chaotic era. Here, we don't sell false hope. Hope isn't a strategy. We trade in cold, hard truth, because only truth can keep you alive. If you want to survive this game, even build an empire from the ruins, like, subscribe, and share this video with someone you care about, even if they laugh now. When the flood comes, they'll thank you for handing them a lifeboat ticket. Good luck, stay awake, stay independent, because in 2026, we'll need it.